This episode of Moist Meter brought to you by Godslap Issue 2. Go to godslapbook.com to order your copy now.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantamania. You can probably hear the jubilation in my voice. I'm very excited to talk about this. In fact, it might even be spoilers on how I feel about the film entirely. Bored. This is one of the few Marvel movies that actually has pretty suboptimal reception. I think it has like a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that I put any real stock into Rotten Tomatoes scores, considering they continue to give Big Mouth 100% every season. It's an absolute mockery of reviews, to be honest. But it's just one of those rare instances where even Marvel fans are like, yeah, this is kind of underwhelming and mid, which it is. I guess I can't say the movie's bad, per se. Ant-Man and the Wasp is bad. That is still perhaps the weakest MCU film in my opinion. This isn't as bad as Ant-Man and the Wasp. It is better than that, but it's not good either. It exists in that unbearable purgatory where it's neither bad nor good, and it's just on that line of being boring. Like, I walked out of the theater and then I played basketball and completely forgot I'd ever even watched the movie in the first place. I had to be reminded that I saw it. Like, recalling anything meaningful that happens in this film is like trying to remember a mediocre dream. There's only one thing that actually shines in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and it's Kang. Kang the Conqueror is a very cool character, and he is very cool in this film, but he's really the only one. Everything that happens here just feels so flat and bland. It tries to follow the Marvel formula to the point where it almost becomes like a parody of itself. It's constantly shoehorning really lazy jokes that don't hit the mark constantly. And speaking of jokes, let's talk about MODOK. He's not really a villain in this movie, he's just a punching bag for people to laugh at. He's not menacing, he's not intimidating, he does nothing except get literally made fun of by every character in the film. That's his whole role. He's just this embarrassing presence that they constantly poke fun at. Like, and he looks like shit too. Like, the CGI on him is awful. I saw a post comparing MODOK from this movie to George Lopez as Mr. Electric in 2005's Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and George Lopez as Mr. Electric looks better. Like, MODOK here is awful. Genuinely fucking horrible. I don't know a whole lot about MODOK. I don't know if he's supposed to just be like this sponge that just absorbs insults from characters forever, but I feel like he was supposed to be like the right-hand man to Kang that was, you know, this expert killer villain, but he's not here. He does nothing except get made fun of. I've said this before and it's applicable here as well. If the characters aren't taking anything seriously, if everything about the situations they're in is played off as a joke, then why are the spectators supposed to care? At that point, it's just kind of a sitcom. This movie's supposed to be the kickoff for Phase 5, I believe, and man, what a weak start. This is the equivalent of, like, starting a basketball game and scoring on your own hoop. Like, this is just kind of lame, honestly. I also would like to talk about the visuals quickly because I really like the Quantumania style of just, like, goofy, wacky shit happening. Like, a lot of the tech is all oozy and gooey to pilot a weird technological ship. You have to fucking double fist the controls and then steer the goo. Like, I like that kind of shit. But there's a lot of times in this film where it was just noticeably bad. And it's not because the VFX department isn't talented, it's because they're clearly overworked. There's a lot of fatigue in the VFX department because of how much they're constantly having to churn out, I feel. Like, I believe over the last few years, you can see a real steady decline in the quality of the visuals. Like, need I remind you of Thor Love and Thunder, when they're, like, transmitting that kid's face, and it looks like an actual Power Rangers moment? Like, there is very clear signs that the VFX team just needs a little more time to flesh it out better so it looks better. Because, goddamn. That it does happen quite a few times in this film. It's not nearly as bad as like in Thor Love and Thunder with the scene I mentioned, but there are moments where I was like, ugh, that did not look very good. But overall, I appreciate the style they were going for. And now let's get to the story here. I'm not going to be getting into spoilers, though I would really like to help illustrate my major complaints with the narrative here, but I'll just give like the general broad strokes. So after being sucked into the quantum realm, the team gets split up. And Scott and his daughter end up meeting some of the quantum locals. And they are fucking worthless. The locals are fighting back against Kang, but they have no real role to play in this film other than to serve as cannon fodder for Kang to murder to show that he's not a nice guy. They don't do anything to further the plot. There's like a whole breakout moment with like one of the leaders of the resistance, but that leads to nothing. All they do is like rush Kang to die. They're just entirely useless to the plot of the film. And really, the heroes don't have too much of a struggle. Pretty much all of their plans go really, really well. Like almost perfect up until the very end. But everything's just super easy up until then, really. And then, I can't get into spoilers. There's a lot I want to say, but a lot of it's spoiler related. Overall, I just felt the whole movie was super weak. For a lot of different reasons, both from its visuals, especially from its narrative and the directions that it goes, or the directions it doesn't go, where it should have, where it made a lot of sense to. There's just a lot of choices they've made here that make this a really weak kickoff for Phase 5. There's one other thing I'd like to mention. All of the action scenes in this movie, except for the end, and even a little bit at the end, to be honest, has like this shaky cam effect, which is nauseating. They did a really awful job with a lot of the action sequences. I'm just gonna say it. Like, they keep killing these Kang henchmen, and killing's the wrong word. Basically, they just one-tap them with punches. It's not even like actual choreographed action at all until the very end, but they keep one-tapping all of the Kang henchmen or one-tapping them with a spear that blows them up. And what happens is, like, as the impact's coming, the camera will, like, fucking jolt around and shake a little bit, and it looks horrible. I don't know how they regressed on action filming. Like, MCU's been doing a decent job over the last few years of, like, actually showing you action when it's happening. This one took it fucking 15 steps back. I thought most of the action in this film was really poorly done. So yeah, anyway, plugging Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantamania into the moist meter, I'm giving it a 50%. It's not a bad movie, but it's not a good one either, which ends up making it even more miserable. I'd prefer if the movie was just like enjoyably bad, like stupid, silly bad, as opposed to just being stuck in between decent and bad. It just became forgettable and mediocre. And yeah, that's really about it. Godslap is a comic book series we've been working on for a couple years now. It's a hyper-violent, over-the-top sci-fi story about the beauty and destruction that slaps can cause. Issue 2 is out right now. It'd make a wonderful Christmas gift, so make sure to check it out at godslapbook.com. Right now we also have 3 variant covers that are in stock, but the second those sell out, those variant covers will never be restocked, so definitely make sure to pick up a copy today.